I definitely get that sense from talking with people who've had a long connection with this place that, it does have something sort of special about it. I've been staying here in total for 3 months. There's a saying that's come up quite a bit in my conversations with people, that people come for tea and stay forever. In the 60s and 70s, a number of artists started living here. John Wolseley, who inherited Nettlecombe, was an artist. He brought lots of people here from London. I think at that time in the 60s, 70s was when there was a lot of artistic activity happening here. So lots of families moved here and brought up their children here. And there were festivals that happened here, and people used different parts of the property as artist studios. And it was a really active community of makers and artists and craftspeople. So that's kind of what I've been exploring in part, but then also looking at different mediums, but essentially the overall work responds to Nettlecombe and responds to Alex Holveg's print Country Dance, an original print of which is shown in the gallery space. So that felt like quite a nice sort of connection. This method is called block printing, monoprinting. So it's block printing ink, and the process is called monoprinting. So I first came to Nettlecombe in 2020. I was on my way back from somewhere and had some time to kill and came across this place by accident. Some months later, I got an opportunity to do a project about an artist called Lizzie Cox and a project called Year in the Life of a Field. It's a film shot on digital with a bit of 16mm film as well. And it includes Lizzie Cox's daughter, Isabel, wearing the costumes from Lizzie Cox's original performance piece about fields in Somerset. I ended up, for that project, coming to Nettlecombe 4 times over the course of a year. And I came at the equinoxes and the solstices throughout that year and made work in relation to the field that she was exploring. So I'm staying in a shipping container that's overlooking the valley and overlooking where the main cluster of buildings that make up Nettlecombe are. So you get a very different sense of the landscape up here, I think. There's a courtyard at Nettlecombe that all of the buildings are sort of surrounding, and this was always the hub for all of the kind of activity, like the parties and the celebrations, and all of the studios are based around the outside. And so we had dozens and dozens of photos of this May Day party, and the children are sort of dressed up in Victorian dresses, and it sort of seems very anachronistic. It could have been sort of early 1900s. There's a kind of saying like where people go, nettles grow. And so that was just a sort of jumping off point, really, so that I had something to sort of explore alongside the archival aspect of the work that I'm developing as well. Nettles thrive in situations where humans are. And so I was thinking about Nettlecombe as a sort of place that people gathered in and people are attracted to. And thinking about the nettles was almost like a metaphor for like people gathering in a place. During my time here, I've spent quite a bit of time in Alex Holweg's studio, looking through his work and looking at his process. So we're in Alexander Holweg's studio, and this print here is called Country Dance, for Alexander Holweg, made in 1976. And this is number 4 of 100 edition, so it's a woodcut print. It's a little bit over from where the settlement here is, but I've actually been and walked to this position to try and get a sense of where this print was originally sort of viewed from. What you see in here is a working farm, and you've got animals in the landscape. You've got cows and sheep, and then you've got the gorgeous blue sky at the top and these rolling clouds. That's something that does appear in Alex's work in other places. For me, when I first saw this print, I predominantly noticed the people sort of celebrating and dancing in the right-hand corner. Yeah, in the left-hand side, you've got the farm workers, the kind of labourers, the people who would be sort of working this land. And I think that's partly what was interesting for me, and partly what I've sort of been exploring from this print, is that kind of that contrast almost between the kind of celebration and the sort of the working in the landscape, the difference between sort of land labour and kind of celebration. You know, he would get up at 9 o'clock, he would go to his studio, light his fire, and he would work all day till 5. You know, he treated it like work, and art is labour in its own way. And I think while our work, the outcomes of our work are very different, I think there's something in his process that I feel a connection with.